Welcome back. We are doing death row dinner. If anyone doesn't know what that is, it's what you would have as your last meal on earth. This was a request by my wonderful cousin Cressida Lawrence, and I'm sort of doing part of it. I'm just going to show you how to do steak with Bearnaise sauce. My full death row dinner would be steak, Bearnaise sauce, fries, and a nice green salad. So I would suggest serving it with that. I'm just going to show you the technical things, so how to do a Bearnaise sauce, which mine is how I would do it, how I've always done it. Chefy friends, don't come at me because it is a little bit cheaty. And then I'm going to show you how to cook a steak. First things first, we're going to start with Bearnaise, then we're going to go on to our beautiful steak. But first, Bearnaise. For our Bearnaise, first thing we're going to need is a whole pat of butter, a couple of eggs, which we're only going to use the yolks from. Fresh tarragon we've managed to get. If you can't, don't worry too much. You should be able to get dried tarragon and that will work just as well. We've also got lemon to go in and some white wine vinegar and also some Dijon mustard. So we're going to get a bowl out. We're going to get one to split our whites into. I find the best way to separate out an egg is to gently take the top off and then pour it into your other hand and just sort of shake it, and the white will come off, and then you'll end up with your little yolk. Plop him in there. Next we're going to do a teaspoon, about that, of Dijon mustard into the eggies and a little pinch of salt. We are using salted butter, so just be careful. So now we're going to do a splash of white wine vinegar. If I was doing this properly, I would make a reduction. So pour some white wine vinegar into a pan, about that much, and then put in, once you picked down your tarragon leaves, you'll end up with the stalk, which we don't use, just because it's not tender enough. So you would put some shallots and the tarragon stalks into your white wine vinegar and reduce it down by half, and that would then be what you add in. Obviously it's got more flavour, it just takes a bit longer. So we're just going to do literally just a little splash. You can alter the seasoning and the acidity levels later on. So for now, that's it. For now, we're just going to beat that all together. Just give it a good whisk. You can use an electric hand whisk. I do find that that is foolproof. So I didn't want to because of the noise, but if you use an electric hand whisk, you usually do end up with a better consistency sometimes. She just wanted to go slightly lighter and well combined. So we've beaten our yolks with the mustard and etc. and the vinegar and a little bit of salt, and you've got it to sort of slightly lighter consistency. This is when you now want to start adding your butter. So we have melted our 1 pack of butter on a medium heat. You don't want it to boil, also very messy, and also it will burn. You just want it to be, warm, because we're going to use the warm butter to cook our egg yolk. Got jugs to make the pouring easier, and that is our yummy butter. So I'm going to just, if you can see, there's the white, which is the whey underneath the butter. So when you pour, it's called clarification. You want to just try and pour until you get to that whey. So with the salted pack, also the whey is where all the salt is. Can you see the whey now starting to pour in? We're going to stop there. So I'm going to keep this because I actually quite like adding the whey to loosen up my hollandaise or Bearnaise. In this case, principle's the same for both. Get as much as you can without the white, but keep that. So we'll just keep that to the side. And using our jug and our whisk, you can do this with 2 people if this is your first time. You want to just do a steady stream of butter. Can you see it though? Just very, very much dripping. We're just dripping it in. You can have pauses like I'm going to, just to get it really well combined, and then we go again. So the reason that we're adding it as slowly as possible is because you don't want to scramble the egg and you want it to emulsify. So a bit like when you make a mayonnaise, when you're adding oil to egg, Same principle. Another thing, so I know that, you know, professionally I should be cooking this au bain-marie so that your yolk is very much cooked through. The hot butter will cook the egg yolk. So my advice would be, unless you're pregnant, this is absolutely fine. If you're worried about it, the only thing you can do is do it all as I'm doing. And then once you get to the stage of combining all the butter into your egg yolk, pop it on top of a pan of water, simmering water, and then just carry on whisking it until it thickens a bit more. It'll go a bit lighter in colour, and then you'll be guaranteed that your egg yolk is definitely cooked. So you'll see that the more butter you add, the thicker it gets. That's good. We can let it down. We're going to let it down with a bit of lemon juice anyway, and as I said, the whey is a very good way of letting it down as well. So just keep it moving, slowly, slowly. So we've now added our whole pat of butter into here. As you can see, that's quite a lot of sauce, probably not going to have all of that. And it's quite thick, so that's great. That means it's done its job and it is delicious and saucy. I'm going to add a tiny bit of the whey in just to loosen it up, and you can see what it looks like. Remember, as I said, the salty part is in the white. So I'm just going to add, again, dripping it in, just a little bit of the whey. You'll see the difference. It's probably fine. As I then whisk that, you can see that it starts to loosen. And you want it to be, you don't want it to be thick like a mayonnaise, you do want it to be like a sort of almost pourable sauce. So at this stage, I'm just going to add a nice squeeze of lemon, just through my fingers to catch any of the pips. Half a lemon in there, and give that a whisk. As you can see, that also really helps to loosen it up and change the colour slightly. So that is good. I would say that is sort of perfection in terms of thickness for me. Put a tea towel over it just to make sure it doesn't get too much of a skin, and then we're going to add in later just some freshly chopped tarragon. So now we're going to move on to our steak. So we have got a beautiful piece of rump steak. I love rump. It's got sort of the right amount of fat for me. I think it's slightly underused. I think people mostly go for a sirloin, but it is more expensive, and I would say a rump is more flavoursome. So this is from our local butcher, Duggard and Daughter, which is in Earlsfield, and is a really lovely butcher, and they're so friendly and really helpful. So this is a half piece that I got them to cut. So I think this will definitely do both of us. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, get our pan on. So we're going to put a frying pan on high heat, get it smoking hot. And then to our steak. So we're going to season and oil our steak. We're not going to add any oil into the pan. It's going to be a dry pan, basically, so that you get a really lovely crust on it. And we're going to also add in some other bits. We're going to add a bit of butter in to end it. We're going to add some fresh thyme because we've got some. If you've got fresh garlic, you can bash a piece of garlic and throw that in at the end of cooking. So we have run out of fresh garlic and our minced garlic, so we're on to granules. So I'm just going to do a bit of the garlic onto the steak, and then salt. Meat takes quite a lot of salt, so don't be scared. So that's one side. I also have a bit of a trick for you. So lemon is always really lovely with beef, and it's really good at tenderizing the meat. So you know where people will, when people say, you know, bash your meat out, when people say, you know, bash your meat out and it'll be really yummy and tender, this will be delicious anyway. We're just going to give it a little squeeze. It will change the colour slightly, but it will also help just to tenderize the meat, which is really yummy. And we're going to then flip it over, and we're going to do the same to the other side. So you might be asking me why the pepper is just sitting here and I haven't actually used it yet.
I am actually. Tara, why is the pepper just sitting there and you haven't actually used it?
So I don't like pepper is one of the reasons. But also pepper burns in pans. So if you add pepper at this point, the heat of the pan, the frying pan, because I'm going to get it to absolutely, you're going to be like, no, you're going to burn the steak. The pepper will just catch as soon as it goes in there, and then it will be burnt, and then it'll, you know, it'll taste bitter. It won't be very nice. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fry one side, and then I'm going to pepper that side once we've turned it over. So the pepper will season the meat, but it won't hit the heat. So once our pan is ready, we're going to go in with this. For this thickness, I'd probably say we're going to do about 3 minutes each side. Maybe 4. We're going to just have a little look at it and see how it works. The meat needs to be room temperature, because otherwise obviously the chill means the centre won't cook as quickly. So we're going to go about medium rare. So I'm not sure if you can see this, but this pan is smoking, it's so hot. So we're going to go in with our steak, get all that nice salt, etc. on it. In the pan, and then just leave it. You do not need to touch it. I'm going to push it down a little bit, but don't mess with it.
Smells so good already, that garlic.
Yeah. Push down especially on the fat, because you do want that to slightly render. You also would like it to go crispy, obviously. Nobody likes wobbly fat, do they, Bubble?
No.
And just leave it there. You'll be able to see as it cooks up the side that it's moving up the steak. That's also a good telltale sign. So I think we're now ready to turn. So I'm just gonna get my little pink tongs, turn it over. Look at that crisp. So at this point, as I said, I'm gonna just season the meat with some pepper. And you can always add more at the end.
Cool.
So I think that's time now. Let's just have a check on the other side. Same really delicious crust. I'm just going to give the fat a little blast, just on that end. So now we're going to go in with our butter. We're not going to use all of it, we'll do that. And we're also going to put our thyme in. And as I said, you can also obviously put your garlic in. And then you just want to use those juices just to baste. So just see the motion? You're just adding more flavour into that steak. And you can see it's got that now beautiful shine on it and everything. So now I think that is time for that to come out of the pan. So our steak is done. I'm just going to lift it out and pop it onto this board to rest. Just gonna pour over that lovely cooking juice and butter. So that is just gonna sit on its own. You can give it a push. It will loosen up as it rests. So at the moment it's quite, help me. We want it to be, oh, lovely. So just gonna leave it like that. Some blood will come out, don't worry about it. And we'll just push that to one side. And we're just gonna get our tarragon and basically just pull off. You just want the leaves. That top part's fine. Again, this is what I said that you could have put into your vinegar reduction. And then with this, I'm just gonna give it a rough chop. There we go. And straight into our butter sauce base. So we're gonna just give that a stir. So just stir in. So we've now rested our beef for about 5-10 minutes. Should be about half the cooking time. So we cooked ours for, let's say, 7 minutes. We've rested it for about 5. The longer you rest it, in my opinion, the better. And then I'm just going to carve it on an angle from the end. And I'm going to do quite thick pieces. As you can see, it's sort of the same colour the whole way through. Ours is rather rare, but that is how we like our beef. I would say this was more of the medium rare, and then into our middle, we're getting a little bit rarer in the middle, but it is still hot the whole way through. So I'm just going to leave it there.
Oh.
Add a bit of our yummy sauce.
Looks so delicious.
There you go.
You're gonna have to try some of that.
I have to.
Try a bit of that. Let's have a taste.
And that's my death row dinner, Chris. I hope you enjoyed it. Get cooking your steaks, guys. Enjoy.